I am your host with the locks that rocks, Adam Richmond, and this is the official podcast of Rocklahoma, Surviving Rocklahoma. But today we're discussing an event that's going to be taking place this weekend, Saturday, November 29th in Tulsa at the Cain's Ballroom. I'm talking about the 19th annual Cancer Sucks concert featuring the original voice of Saliva, Josie Scott, and one of our guests, Dameon of Aranda.
Nice. And you pronounced it correctly, and I love that. I love you for that.
I do my best, sir. Oklahoma education system, we do what we can.
Nice.
So, as I was saying, I appreciate you making time for me and sitting down with this ahead of this event. You and your brother have been a duo for decades, one of the longest lasting acts in rock, really. This is just the single, or what is the single unwritten rule that has kept Aranda as a partnership unbreakable across years of pressure, touring and literally living on top of one another?
Yeah, we're brothers, so we've been through everything together. Before we were doing music together, we were literally just surviving life. We grew up, our parents got divorced when I was 6. And my brother and I bounced around a little bit. We always had love in the family, but it was definitely difficult during the some of our childhood. And as we grew up, music kind of was the one thing that always bonded us together. And so we started harmonizing. I learned how to play guitar. He learned how to play piano. We started a band when I think I was 12 and a half, 13 years old. And we just always had a dream not to like make it, so to speak, but to always like we loved just playing music and singing together. There's always just something special when you can come and harmonize with your sibling, write songs. We were able to connect in a lot of ways, even in the songwriting process growing up. We learned how to write songs together. It was really special. And when we really started going for it in the sense of touring and doing all those things, we had gotten probably the part of our lives over with where we were trying to compete and try to, fight each other, do all that stuff. You know how brothers are. We're only 16 months apart. We're only 16 months apart. So, we were like any brothers that are that close, we're always fighting, but we loved each other dearly. And by the time we started really doing it, man, we just root for each other too, not only in music, but in life. And so that's really how the longevity stays. We just love each other.
That's beautiful, man. And, that's one thing that we celebrate here in the local music community. We call each other family. We think of each other as family. We don't always get along. We don't always particularly like each other, but at the end of the day, we got each other's back. We're always there to support each other. Can you give us a specific example or maybe a moment on the road, maybe in the first years or so, where rule was tested and how you guys recovered without breaking up the band?
Again, it was probably something really stupid. I remember we were at a club. This was right before we started really, really touring, but we were doing the Oklahoma City and Tulsa music scene at that time. And, just like, we're like 18, 19 years old at the time, and we're doing our thing. And I think my brother had said something, and I think I like literally got up in his face and, while we were playing, because we were just upset about something. And that was probably, I know that sounds pretty light, but that was probably the extent of our just getting upset with each other. And I remember how like poorly that probably looked from out to people in the audience in the stage. I just swore to myself, I was like, man, I will never, if I have a problem, we're taking it somewhere else. We're not going to do that. We're not going to air out our grievances in front of everybody. It's always going to be private. And so kind of learned a valuable lesson right there. And anyway, and 5 minutes later, I was like, I'm sorry, dude. I didn't mean that.
Well, and I doing this, I get to work with a lot of bands, and I notice how close they get. You're cooped up in that car, that van, you're smelling each other's feet and farts, and I always admire not only being able to maintain that healthy relationship with your sibling or your bandmates, but to also be able to do that for long and extended periods of time, day in and day out.
Yeah, I mean, what's funny about it is it's like especially when you're doing that with your sibling. And we have, the band that we're out with now. I mean, we all do life together too. And so it's just great with our families and all those things. And so that's really fun. But, it's like when you're with your sibling, they think a lot the way like you do. They know past experiences that nobody else knows. They know all the inside jokes. There's just this closeness that you get that maybe sometimes you can't get other places.
I love that. Now, you guys are local boys, the starting from Oklahoma City. You guys had to build everything yourself, far from the coast where most of these things are centered. How much of that essential Midwest grit and necessity for self-reliance still dictates how you operate in as a Randa as a business today?
Yeah, I think we had to have a lot of grit and a lot of resilience coming up because I feel like we almost like what people would call made it like 20 times before we actually really started making some headway. I mean, in this industry, you get promised things that just don't happen. I think we just learned really early nobody's going to do you any favors. You have to go out and try to make it happen yourselves, and you have to remember why you got into this whole thing in the first place. And so that really was the grit. That really, because we always kind of had that mission statement of like, man, why do we do this? Well, we do this because we love this. We want to connect with our fans. We feel like we really have something to say, and we feel like we have a lot of past experiences that would in our songwriting would connect with people. And so we just kept that mentality all the time, and it still stands true today. And it's awesome because when we play, we always go out to the merch booth after, and we try to meet everybody that we can. We try to talk to people, and there's so many amazing stories about one, how people might have found our music, how maybe a song was really important to them. And it's always, we love hearing it because I think the closer we are to our fans and the closer we are to just this mission of connecting, we're gonna continue to want to keep doing it.
I dig that. And you said it, and that grit, that grind is something that as a non-musician, as an observer and as a fan, a fanatic, that's just something I've always admired is, every the sacrifice that you guys have to stay the tunnel vision and never give up. And there's a lot of locked doors out there, but it's always about the one or two doors that not open up for you. And you mentioned also, engaging with your fans. You guys have always maintained a incredible loyalty to the local scene. Why is that community bond, especially when it comes to supporting other local bands and or community events, so critical to the Aranda identity?
Well, that's the thing. We love the community. We cut our teeth here in Oklahoma City, and so we know where we came from, and we appreciate all the people that back in the day, even when we came out of high school. And I remember we would pack out these places with just the community that we considered everybody our friends at that point. I mean, they would pack these places, and the places we were playing were not huge places, but they were 250, 300, seat places that we would go in and pack out all the time. And it was all really because of just the bond we had. I don't think we just, we didn't know our fans, so to speak. We did. We knew our fans, and when they'd come in, it was like I don't know, it was almost like a family reunion, so to speak. And so Oklahoma City's always been like that for us. We love it. Early on, the Cat really supported us just hugely with our first few albums, and we still support them a lot too. And all the bands that are coming up right now, we keep an eye on all those people, and we stay available, ready to help anybody or give anybody advice in that space because we just love OKC.
I do. We want to give a huge shout out to Jay Ramone and Cameron and all of the folks from the Cat. They've always shown us a lot of love here at the podcast, especially on Radio Row at Rocklahoma. If we could change gears a little bit, I want to talk about the real reason that we're visiting today, and it's the Cancer Sucks event this weekend. This weekend you're playing the event. What is your personal connection to this cause, if you're okay with sharing that? And
Sure.
why is this particular show and fundraiser so important to the band right now?
Well, we've known Rick Horton for a long time, and we've played quite a few Cancer Sucks concerts. And I remember the first time that he came to us and asked us to do this, it was an automatic yes. Our family has been affected by cancer. In fact, my uncle just passed away a couple of years ago from prostate cancer, and you know, cancer is one of those just crazy, crazy diseases that we don't have a cure for, and we're like, are we ever going to have a cure for it? We're all, and it's kind of like that human spirit. It's like, well, you know what? Maybe we don't have a cure now, but every dollar, everything that is raised on these concerts is just a very small contribution. But I think it's more of a symbol that cancer sucks. We're not going to lay down to it. We're going to keep fighting, and we're going to find a cure at some point.
I agree completely. As I lost my sister back in 22, and my father's currently waiting to see. So we right here, it
Sorry.
hits close to home in every way. With just I don't know of anybody whose life hasn't been impacted by some form of cancer. And this is the great thing about the power of music, though. In a moment of heavy fundraising, how does the energy of a rock show, that shared powerful experience, translate into hope or support for people battling cancer? What role does that music play in this fight?
I think one, it's positivity, but think about it. It's like we're showing up. We're showing up for somebody. And I think when you show up for a cause, you're showing people that there is hope. You know what I mean? And more importantly, I think you're showing that we care, and I think as a community, we care. And not just because, my uncle passed away or we have, it's not because of that. I think this is more of a this is we're all in this together kind of mentality. And I think when you go to a rock show and you have energy and you have positivity and you have hope, I think you leave that place going, we're going to kick freaking cancer's butt.
I appreciate it. Do you have any memorable stories from an event playing this? As you mentioned, you've played several times.
Yeah. A few years ago, we played with Texas Hippie Coalition. And
Yes.
uh, man, I just remember a lot of people showed up for that. But I also remember I just love like those guys and the way that they came on stage, approached it. And, you know, I think some people think that, oh, when they're doing a fundraiser, maybe they're going to take it easy or it's going to be a little bit of a lighter kind of load. And I remember those guys played forever and they freaking, it was just a testament to it's just like these guys came and they brought their best. And I think that's, we can all take heart and go, man, that's what you do, man. When you say yes to something like this, you bring your best. And man, Texas Hippie Coalition, they were so sick.
I agree. They are one of my favorites. I love seeing them every single time. Big shout out to Big Dad Rich. Um, you know, if you could share one message or an anecdote with the survivors, fighters, or families in the audience this weekend, what would it be?
Ooh, man. Uh, it really is crazy because, you know, um, there's so many people with cancer now.
Mhm.
It's becoming just so much more prevalent in the world today and in the United States and here even in Oklahoma. I would just say, man, don't give up, you know, and don't be afraid to ask for support. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to connect. Don't be afraid. It's like know that people are with you. Know that people are thinking about you. You are not alone. You are not alone. And if if that just does something for somebody's spirit, I know we're doing this because we want people to know that they're not alone. And I mean, truly, that's the whole spirit of it.
Love it. Changing gears once again, let's talk a bit about the music, the what's driving Aranda today. You've survived so much. What new emotion, energy, or story does this latest track bring to the table that you haven't shared with us yet?
It's funny. This song that we're about to release, which actually releases the day before the concert, it's a song called "You Don't Want to Know," and it's from our new album that'll be coming up here in the next few months. And the name of the record's called "Are You Not Entertained?" And the whole premise of the song "You Don't Want to Know" is really, man, I've done. I don't know. I think people can relate with this, but just I'm not perfect. Um, in fact, I've probably done things that I'm pretty ashamed of in my life. And this song is basically trying to push somebody away and wondering why this person still loves me, still wants to hang around me after all they know about me. and and man, I think there really is something in that, and you see it. It's like it's basically at the end of the day, it's about a person that is like hurting, broken, but then you have the person that is right there with you with unconditional love. And so you're telling this person to run away and this person is staying. And I think it's really cool.
I mean, that sounds like the makings of any like the long lasting relationships, whether it be a long marriage or a happy, brothership between two brothers in a band or just a band in general. Your music,
Yeah.
you mentioned, Are You Not Entertained? And your music is the definitive soundtrack for high tech sport or high octane sports when you listen to it. When did you realize that commercial appeal was becoming significant and a reliable pillar of your success? What did you change? How did you viewed your own songs?
Well, the cool thing about it is it came very natural for us. We didn't really push it. We just kind of were what we were. And then we had a few songs on our first album that really kind of pushed the commercial appeal, like you said.
Yeah.
And then, we had a song called Why You Want to Bring Me Down, which was, like a big wrestling anthem and like it was just, it did well for us. It was great on radio, all those things, and really afforded us to be able to go out on tour with like really big acts like Hailstorm and Shinedown and Daughtry and Three Doors Down and all these bands that we had a year before ago, we would never be able to get out and go on the road with those guys, right? And then a year later with some of this. So we did see the value of that commercial part, but we don't, it's funny the way we write now, we just try to connect. It's not really we try our best to not really be a slave to maybe a formulaic kind of thing, but more of a heart thing. And so whatever our heart's telling us to write, what to do, we kind of follow that instead of trends. We just don't really follow those. Not, we just never have been trying to do that. And it's probably hampered us in some ways, but it also maybe endeared us in others.
I came out of the 90s and I absolutely love a lot of the pop culture from the 90s, but a lot didn't age well. So keeping with those trends can come back and bite you. Um,
Yes.
Now, speaking of, the past, tell me a little bit, what's next on the horizon for Aranda? We talked a little bit about your single that you're releasing this week, but what's on the long-term goal right now?
We took a break around 2000, let's say 17, 2018. And then when COVID hit in 2020, we had kind of a rebirth with just falling in love with like the band and the music and again the part we love, the connection piece. So we fell in love with that again, and we've really kind of started just going full blast again. I didn't think we ever would go full blast again, but 2026 we have positioned ourselves to really hit touring hard. We're going back to radio for the first time in years, and just overall just going to be really really active. So for 2026 at least, you're going to see a lot of Aranda.
That's awesome, man. And I can't wait to see it as well. I know you've got a lot of stuff going on, and I appreciate you making time and giving us a peek into what's going on behind Aranda. Anytime we have a guest on, before we close things down, I like to give everybody a chance just to look directly at the camera and talk to their fans, their audience, the folks they're going to see this weekend at Cancer Sucks 19th annual event, as well as those who's going to be subscribing to the new Aranda track.
I would just say to everybody out there, thank you for just so many amazing years of just supporting us. Again, I don't want it to sound cliche at all, but it does. It means everything to us. And the reason that we're still here and we're still going and we're still making music isn't because of us, but it's because of you. And so we want to say just thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And we love you guys. Can't wait to see you guys, not only in Tulsa, but at a ton of shows in 2026. Love you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Damien, and we appreciate your time. For Aranda, I am your host with the Locks That Rocks, Adam Richmond. This is the official podcast of Rocklahoma. And until next time, stay on the positive side of life, and as always, rock on.